It is a lovely, warm, sunny day here in London. Welcome everyone to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
Here we are. Big Ben in the background. What a view, eh?
Isn't it beautiful, Steve?
I think this is going to be our best live podcast yet, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got some great questions. And we've been up here in London to see the pyjama game.
We have.
At the Salisbury Theatre.
Shaftesbury Theatre.
Oh,
yeah,
I knew I get it wrong.
Yeah. Yes, we've just been to see the pyjama game. It was lovely, wasn't it?
It was
great
beautiful,
musical.
Yeah, great. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It's been a great day.
So, yes, we're here, another live podcast. It's really good doing these live broadcasts, isn't it? I love doing them.
It is, yeah. Well, they're
Get a
very
bit
popular.
of attention as well, I think, around us.
We are. Well, aren't we brave folks? All the Londoners
We
walking
are.
around,
Out
all the
in
tourists,
public.
and with lots of people taking photographs of us, thinking we're famous.
Yeah, tell me about it. Anyway, how are you? You all right?
I'm really good, yeah.
There's lots going on at the moment, isn't there?
Oh, gosh, we're going to tell them a bit about it, aren't we, later on?
We are going to tell them a little bit about it.
We've been leading them on for a little while. We've got to release it.
Absolutely. Right, let's crack on. I'm going to get the questions, which are just here. Up they come, up they come, up they come. Look at this, no hands. Look
That's
at
magic,
that.
folks, isn't it?
Look at that.
How did you do that, Steve?
Mother.
Oh.
Thank you. So let's crack on. Let's start with some feedback. This one's from Petro. Love the live video podcast so much, Colin and Steve. The last question on framing was especially helpful and insightful. Looking forward to each episode.
Well,
Thank you
how
very
about
much,
that?
Petro.
That's opportune, isn't it?
That was a good feedback added for this particular episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you, Petro. The next one is from Trisha. Dear Colin, I have been enjoying your lessons so much. I can't even describe how much. I'm especially grateful for the portrait, drawing and painting lessons. I've wanted for so long to know how to paint portraits, but just haven't been able to get excited about using wet mediums, such as watercolour, acrylic or oil. No. So I've been having such a blast watching your videos. I've watched them again and again, and I'm improving each time I work on the portrait.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. Another satisfied customer, Steve.
We have a lot of people moving away from the wet mediums, the water acrylics, that have done those and moving to the drier ones.
The reason being is that the wet mediums is chancy. It's a risk. You've got a risk involved. Whereas with pastel pencils, there is no risk. Because if it goes wrong, you just rub it out. And you can't do that very easily with any of the wet mediums, Steve.
Not very easily, no.
No, so you're kind of, unless you're really, really good at watercolour, and a very accomplished artist, you really can't do a good job. However, we know from experience and looking at all the fantastic products and projects that have been done that people just starting out can produce them with no problem.
Pastel pencils, you mean? Yeah.
Pastel pencils, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Trisha, for that feedback. Next one we have is from Anne in New Zealand. Good morning, Colin. I've just started to paint Castle Combe Bridge. Now, we've just released that project just yesterday or the day before yesterday.
That's right.
And she is loving it. I love the English countryside. In fact, I love England. Wow, this should please you, shouldn't it? It's a special treat for you. This painting is going to give me a lot of pleasure, and I do hope you will present us with more lessons of this type. The variations in the lessons have been wonderful.
Well, I can guarantee you, Anne, I'm going to do that. It's my great love, watercolour, and particularly Castle Combe type of picture. Plenty to get my teeth into.
But this is a pastel pencil.
Oh yes, pastel pencil. Yeah, but I mean, when I first started, it was all watercolour, of course. But
the landscapes.
The landscape work. But then I moved into animals. Then I went back to landscape with pastel pencils. And the only problem we have with it was we've got so many different subjects, and animals seem to be the ultimate favourite. So we tend to concentrate on them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do more of Castle Combe type. Be assured. There's
so much to that painting, though. There's so much, and what I've noticed, not recently, it's not like suddenly I've noticed, but with your work, especially your landscapes, there's always a lot happening in the picture.
Yeah.
There's always lots of different stories going on, like people that you wouldn't even notice were in the picture.
That's right.
You only spot after a few minutes of looking at it.
The ideal thing there is to see it afterwards. When they do the pictures, people say to me, I've been looking at that picture and I suddenly saw that. That gives me a lot of pleasure.
Do you do that deliberately?
Yes.
Or you do? So when you're doing the picture and you're painting it or drawing it, and going through it, and you go, I'm going to put someone here.
Yes.
And I'm going to see. It's going to be one of those people that people aren't going to pick up on straight away. But then they will
yes.
see eventually.
Well, I suppose there is that to it. Yes, I do that. I've got a little bit of mischief in me.
Consciously do that.
Yes.
You do, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good.
That's
It's a really nice painting, and there's so much detail. The feedback on the picture has been great because there is so much fine detail. How big is that picture as well? I just wanted to ask you.
A4 size.
That is A4 because
Yeah, it is A4.
That is incredible amount of detail.
Yeah, it is
for A4 size, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, anyway, Anne, thank you very much for that feedback. Moving on to some questions. This one is from Dorota. Can I ask if you will be doing any male portraits in the foreseeable future? I would like to attempt one. Many thanks, Dorota. Male portraits.
The answer to that, folks, is yes.
Yes, you are?
Yes, I am. You don't even know that, Steve. But it's with a difference, folks. And can we tell you about that a little bit later on? Because that's part of that new project we're going to be doing.
Okay. All right. That's coming later, Dorota.
Coming later, folks.
Don't go anywhere. The next one is from Leah. Hello, Colin. Given that you advise the use of sand-coloured paper, and I totally agree with that point, how can one achieve a dark background, a dense forest or a night sky, etc., on such a light colour, and how does one avoid saturating the tooth of the paper? From Leah. That's a good question.
Yeah. I think what I would advise there is if it was just a night scene, basically, that's what we're talking about, a dark forest or something, that's not too bad. But if you were going to have light subjects within that, you have got problems because you'd have to work the dark background around those lighter subjects. Okay, let's say that you're not doing that. Let's say you're just doing it with a darkish nighttime scene or a dark scene. Then you would use the medium colours to start with. You wouldn't use any light colours. Use the medium greys, medium greens, those sort of colours. Then you can darken those. That would be successful, but the saturation of the paper, that's only because you're using more and more and more colour on top of each other, and that creates the saturation.
So you are going to get a saturated tooth?
Yeah, we avoid it when we're doing the Prowling Tiger, for instance. We haven't really got a problem there because we're using soft pastel. And that's what you could do. You can add the soft pastel or the stick pastels to it, and that will work quite well. But if you just kept ploughing on the pastel pencil over and over again, you might well saturate the paper then.
Gotcha.
So you've got to work it out. It's not an easy subject, and I would try to avoid that.
So in this scenario, would you then choose to use a darker paper?
I probably would.
Okay.
If I was using a nighttime scene or a very dark scene, I would use a darker paper, yeah. It just saves you a couple of tones, you see.
Okay. It's good. Okay. Good question, Leah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
The next one we have is from Negin. I'm not quite sure how to say your name. I am a beginner pastel painter. I was hoping to find an answer to this question. When I am working with chalk pastels, the top surface of my painting blends easily when I don't want it to. Like the final details go with a small touch of a finger. What can I do to fix what I paint?
That's almost certainly the paper problem there, I would say, because it's the sort of thing you get when you like the velour paper.
Right.
You know, you can
it's
put the colour on.
It's too smooth.
Yeah, and you can't, and you can start to take it off. I think I've never had this problem. I've been using it for an awful long time, as you know, folks, and never had that problem. I've never had that problem he's talking about. So there's something he's doing wrong there. I would say that's almost certainly the paper. If he's using pastel pencils like we do, it shouldn't be done.
Okay.
So I think look into the paper situation there. I think it might be a problem there. You know, if you've got a paper that doesn't respond or doesn't capture the pastel, which like the Ingres does, you're going to get that. If you use cartridge paper, for instance,
yeah,
you'd find that would happen there. It would take it straight off.
Yeah, there's no texture to the paper.
No, and it wouldn't grip it. So that's my
probably more likely what the problem is.
I would say so.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thanks very much for that question. So let's talk about the new. Is this what you want to talk about? The new project?
Yeah, the new project. Shall we let him in on the secret?
Let him in on a secret, because it's not finished yet.
No, it's not. We're just telling you the bones of it, really, at the moment.
Go on.
We've got to put the meat on. What I thought, it started out when I thought, you know, what really our members would like to do is some life drawing. Now, when you go to art class, when you start drawing, you tend to have a model in front of you, and you use charcoal usually, and you learn to draw. And it's an extremely difficult thing to do. And to say it sorts the men out from the boys is an understatement. 90% of the people that would go to those classes would give up because it's almost impossible to do it.
I couldn't do it.
No. Do you know, I'm not sure I could. Not like in those situations. So, but I do know that drawing the human form is the best way of learning to draw. So I thought, well, how am I going to do this? So I've talked to Steve about it, and we discussed it and said, well, if I could find a way of doing it, I would. So I went back to my grassroots when I first started drawing, and I've produced a way that you are going to be able to learn to do this.
So what's coming up, members, is a course on, one, learning how to draw, which we've never done,
No.
ever. And number two, it's going to be how to draw a person, so an actual figure, and all the components to how you do that in stages.
Yep.
But then also, the
Yep.
icing on the cake is bringing in our brilliant pastel pencils into the equation.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, this is going to be, as far as I know, the first time it's ever been done. Now, I'm saying that because I've never seen it. It could be that someone else has done it as well. What I've done is using 5 pastel pencils, and it creates similar to a charcoal. If you think of charcoal drawing, it's similar to that, except this is much, much more refined.
And if you remember the Hopalong Cassidy picture that Dad did a long time ago, just did it as your own picture. You wanted to, but we put it on Facebook. If you remember seeing that, that's the kind of effect that you're going to
Yes,
be looking
actually, you're absolutely right, Stephen, but it's going to even be better than that. I've developed a slight twist to that, and I've been experimenting. I'm still kind of experimenting, but I've got to the stage now when I'm going to actually start the
It
drawings.
is coming.
And
It
I've
is
got to
coming.
tell you, they're nude models. My wife wouldn't let me have a live one, so I've had to have photographs. So we've had to work from photographs. But that's a far better way of doing it, really, folks. And so what we've got 2 stages, really. I'm going to show you how to draw each of the 3 models I've got, and I'm going to show you how to draw it, and then we're going to split it, and then we're going to say, okay, now we've got that, now I'm going to show you how to use the grey tones on it. So it'll be twofold, really. Some people will probably want to draw it and not use the grey tone, because drawing is fine, and they can carry on with the graphite pencil then if they want to. So it's open-ended. But I'm sure when you see the finished pictures, you're going to be gobsmacked, folks. Now, we've got 2 ladies and a man. I've been very discreet, though, folks. Very, very discreet. So don't be shocked, because you won't be shocked.
They're very tasteful images.
They're very, very tasteful.
I think you're all going to enjoy doing them, definitely.
But, people have asked me for this. If you went to an evening class, a night school, you would be faced with this. I've got to tell you, though, that the models are quite attractive as opposed to unattractive. I'll leave it at that, folks.
Okay,
but the whole idea of this is to teach you to draw, and there's no better way of doing it than the human form. If you can draw that, you can draw anything.
You've got to do it now. You've said that.
What?
You've got to do it now. You've said that.
Oh, I am going to do it. Don't you worry.
Don't make promises now.
No. I don't do that. It's strange, isn't it, Steve? I kind of looked at this and thought, how am I going to do this? And it's taken me 2-3 weeks now since we first conceived the idea. But the pastel pencils come up trumps every time. I've told you this before. I think, how am I going to do it? And the pastel pencils will do it for me. Charcoal won't particularly. If you just use charcoal, you'll find that this is a very difficult medium to operate. It's very, very messy for one thing. And we know that the pastel pencils isn't. So there we are.
Excellent.
Something to look forward to, folks.
That is something to look forward to.
I'm not sure when this is going to be released. We, unfortunately,
there's quite a lot we've got to release as well.
I know we have. Yeah.
It is coming up, though.
But it will be coming up.
We wanted to let the cat out of the bag last week or the week before. You seem to remember we were all biting our tongues. But now we get to tell you. So yes.
And also, we ought to mention too, Steve, that the drawing side of it we're going to release as general release. We'll probably be putting this to YouTube as well, won't we? The actual drawing.
The drawing side, learning how to draw, learning how to life draw. There will be a product that we'll be compiling like a downloadable lesson. So if you're not a member of the website, you can still learn how to draw and learn that side of things. The Pastel Pencils, we're maintaining that is
members only, and
that's members only will get the complete package.
Yeah.
But if you're not a member and you just want to learn how to draw, you can grab the product that we'll be creating, the video, the downloadable video. But yes, the members get the whole thing. They get the drawing and then the Pastel Pencils technique videos after as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So lots coming up for you. Okay, so I think that ends our outside broadcast at Westminster,
yes,
in London with Big Ben.
I hope
this
you've
isn't a
enjoyed
backdrop. This is real. I just want to say it's not a backdrop.
Oh, I think they can hear all the traffic, can't they, going past?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty horrendous.
We're going to have more video podcasts coming soon, so look out for those on YouTube. We'll be back next week with another show. I will be down next week.
Yes, that's right. In the studio again.
In the studio again, so we'll be recording on the mics.
Hey, just before you go, Steve, you know last week you came down because you had to do that War and Peace show, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
And we made a bit of a thing about this. I'm going to tell you, folks, that was absolutely fantastic. He won't tell you that.
No, I wouldn't tell you that.
No, you wouldn't say that, but I'm going to tell you it was absolutely great. Did a fantastic job and got a lot of accolades. And we know there's going to be other jobs coming up as a result of this.
Possibly going on a little mini tour.
There you go.
Which is brilliant. And we were using these mics as well. I was singing into this last week.
You was, yeah. That's right. Anyway, folks, I thought I'd tell you that because they might wonder. You left them dangling last week.
Yeah,
I'm sure they would be.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks everyone for listening and watching if you're watching on YouTube. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley. Enjoy your week.